into the heart of what truly matters, our families. Healthy families make healthy societies. I'm Randy.
And I'm Leslie. We're diving deep into the powerful insights of Dr. Randy's groundbreaking book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
Hear inspiring stories and strategies to transform your family. We'll explore topics like communication, forgiveness, healing, parenting, marriage. We'll cover it all.
We'll have provoking conversations with experts, coaches, and real-life families who are benefiting from intentional family building.
This podcast isn't just about theories, it's about tools that you can implement today.
We all come from families, so this podcast is for you.
Join us on this incredible family journey. Subscribe now as we learn to do family as God designed.
Transforming families one episode at a time. Remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end. Let's go.
Hi there, and welcome back to Transforming Families. I'm Randy.
I'm Leslie.
And we are beginning a series today on parenting, a segment actually that we're going to be bringing. And we're going to start at a really vitally important place, which is what's been called the 4 S's, or the 4 pillars of parenting. And it comes from attachment theory. Now, don't get too freaked out. It's too scientific. The bottom line is this: we must, as parents, create a healthy family culture in the home for our children. And if we don't do that, then the problems are so evident in adulthood and through the teenage years as children, us included, figure out how do we cope with relationships, because they're really set when we're young. So we're going to get into all of this, but yeah, why don't you share with us just a little bit about attachment theory, just so you know that this is actually coming.
Yeah, this is actually really old. This is old information, but it's still,
1950s.
it's still true today. And basically, it's in our formative years when we're children is when we learn how to attach to other people. And our parents are those first people that we learn to attach to. It's where we discover if we're safe, if we're seen, where we receive soothing, and where we get our security. And if we didn't experience that in a healthy way growing up, it causes us in our adulthood to then attach to other people in an unhealthy way. It causes a lot of anxiety, which drives addictions. It drives codependency. It really causes a child to not know who they are. This actually is really about identity, as everything is, if you guys have been listening to us for a minute now. And so that's basically what we're going to be talking about. Now, you guys know we're equippers, we're tool givers. And sometime back, we did a single episode on what we call a social covenant. And I encourage you to go back and listen to that episode. But we're going to give that tool to you again. But what today's podcast is about is really delving a little deeper into why that particular tool is so useful for you as you're raising your kids.
Yeah. And I mean, it's really straightforward. The first protocol in our book, in the work, is what we call the emotional intelligence, the EQ protocol. And the purpose of all the exercises in that is to create a safe, fun, loving, trusting, supportive environment or culture in the home. And that doesn't just happen. It's something that intentionally needs to be crafted and created. And the bottom line is that children who have their emotional and physical needs met, acknowledged, and responded to, they form secure attachments in their relationships. Now, we all learn this when we're the tiniest. And you say, well, my kids are adults, it's too late. No, it actually isn't, because we can still create safe, loving, trusting, supportive relationships, even with our adult children. We started this work when our children were adults. And so there's some benefits, of course, to raising our little children generationally in a way that they can attach securely into all relationships. So here are the four S's, and I think this will be the framework for our talk this morning. The four pillars of parenting, the four S's, if you will, are safe, seen, soothed, and secure. So in our home, as we're raising our children, these are the vital and critical parts of the culture that must be in place.
Yeah. Now, if you're listening to this and your kids are already grown, or you're just listening to this and you're a grown up, don't tune out, because this is also going to give you some real insight into why perhaps you're struggling in some of your relationships. If you didn't grow up in a home where there was safety and security and where you were soothed, you might be experiencing some discomfort, and this is going to bring some revelation to that, and hopefully give you a next step to heal those areas in your life.
Yeah. So let's break this down. Let's talk about what it is, first of all. So what is a safe family culture, a safe environment? Well, it's basically creating an environment where the message is just reinforced over and over and over that home is a safe haven. It's safe to be. It's safe to be vulnerable. It's safe to be afraid. It's safe to be seen. It's safe to express your emotions without fear of retribution or punishment.
And this also refers to actual physical safety.
Yep.
Are you living in a safe home? Are you in a neighborhood that's safe? We've got where we're at, there's a really large and growing population of single moms, basically trying to work but living out of their cars. That's not a safe physical environment for a child to live in.
Mm-hmm.
And that can create just as much insecurity and anxiety in a person as the emotional needs of being seen and heard. So it's important.
Now, when we'd poll you right now and say, how safe is it in your family culture? And you maybe have little kids, or even if you don't, if your kids are adult or gone, how safe is it? Well, you say almost everybody gives a high number. Oh, it's safe, totally. The truth is that's a gut reaction to something we want it to be. It's more aspirational than accurate in our experience. I'm not saying your home isn't safe. I am saying we have a lack of awareness of what really
Safety
makes
is.
something safe and what safety is. So safety is where uh, not it's exactly the opposite of kids should be seen and not heard,
Some of us old
right?
timers remember hearing that a time or two growing up.
Yeah, or safety is listening through instead of cutting off your child when they're venting or when they're expressing their emotions and they're trying to make sense of this world that's still pretty new to them. And there's a harsh response or a critical response or a be quiet, get out of my hair, I'm busy response. And I know that you say, well, I know that happens sometimes, but I mean, most of the time, and that might be true. And it is the consistent practice of safety that really begins to create safe attachment. So what happens when it's not safe? What happens to the child when it's not safe? What sort of things begin to happen around
Well,
their lives?
I'll be real vulnerable. In my early adulthood, certainly all of my 20s and bled into my 30s even, I really had like significant anxiety disorder. I was very, very fearful. You wouldn't have known that looking at me from the outside. But on the inside, I had this constant constant sense of anxiousness and fear, especially around people. And as I went into my own healing journey and I learned about this attachment theory stuff, I can remember for years growing up turning the corner, walking home from school, on turning the corner to my house,
Mhm.
and I would just get this adrenaline dump of anxiety that would just totally overcome me, because I didn't know growing up from day to day if I was going to be walking into a safe home or not. My father really struggled with alcoholism, and I didn't know from day to day, was he going to be a fun drunk? Was it going to be a happy time? Or was it going to be a violent time? And that created a deep well of insecurity, uncertainty
Mm-hmm.
in me. And so I'm not suggesting that anybody's homes are that extreme, but maybe you grew up in that similar environment. And it doesn't even have to be that extreme to create that kind of lack of safety. But the inconsistency, if you've got a child that comes home from school and they want to just share their day, they just want to have a safe place where they can express their
Mm-hmm.
feelings. Because remember, we've talked about this before, our feelings
Mm-hmm.
aren't right or wrong. They're the indicator lights on the dashboard of the car that let us know what's going on in our thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And if a child isn't afforded an environment in the home where it's safe for them to talk about, Timmy pulled my pigtails today and it hurt my feelings, or even the good stuff. Yeah, honey, mom's busy right now, or dad's, let me finish up this work project.
Yeah.
And that it happens from time to time, right? But if that is consistently the response to the child when they want to express a thought or a feeling, it can really create this lack of safety deep in their soul.
Yeah. And so what does it look like? So Leslie's coming around the corner and she has this dump of anxiety. Well, here's what happens as a little kid. They begin to think overly uh, what's normal. They begin to think in an exaggerated way. I worry about what other people think of me. Is dad going to be mad? Is he going to be angry? Or is my brother going to be waiting to bully me? Or is am I going to have what I need at home? Is anybody going to be there? And the uncertainty creates a lack of trust, and it destabilizes that child, and that child then is left to figure out, how do I stabilize myself?
Mm-hmm.
And then they pick a coping mechanism. We all do this just naturally, but we tend to pick unhealthy coping mechanisms. So for some, they want to perform really well. Well, no matter what happens, I'm gonna be my best and for dad, and that way I'll make him be happy with me. I'll make him think good thoughts about me. I'll make him be more safe or loving or trusting. And the truth is, we can't control what other people think or feel. They decide that. And so there begins this belief system in that child. Okay, everywhere I go, the way that this works is I perform well, or I'm funny, or I avoid. There's another one. If I just stay away from them and I leave them alone, then they won't get upset and I'll be safe. And so these unhealthy coping mechanisms begin to form, you know, innocently, really, when we're very young and we're put in an environment that's not safe. This is why the EQ work in the Family Reformation Project, this whole first protocol to create that safe environment, is so vitally important.
Yeah, yeah. And some of the things that also will come out into our adulthood if we've experienced a non-safe environment in our home, this is where codependency comes into play. Like Randy was talking about, it could be overperforming, but it could also be, well, I'm gonna, as long as you're okay, which is the true definition of codependency. People like to think, well, I just care so deeply about, oh, here's the religious one. I'm gonna put their needs above my needs. And that is absolutely a biblical principle, but it has to come foundationally from the truth of what God sees as love. When we cross that, what we call the constraint theory, when you're not actually loving the person, you are trying to control the other person and perform. So if Randy's okay, then I'm okay. If I walk in the door and Randy's upset about something, then I start to feel deregulated
I
on
can
the
just fix him.
inside, and I'll do something and I'll make him better. And it's really not about helping him, it's about soothing my own internal anxiety. Here's another one. It's this feeling of being perceived or needy. That's another really unhealthy attachment style that develops in anxiety. Either you recognize it yourself, oh my gosh, I'm so needy, I hate this about me, or other people perceive you that way. Like, why are you so needy? Right? Because there's such this insecurity that's birthed out of this place of anxiety of not experiencing a safe environment growing up.
And some people, their coping mechanism is to challenge. They don't want to accept what it is. They want to speak to it to change it. And so that creates this challenging thing where there can be arguments, and there can be, you have to be right, and that has its own. Then there's the pleaser, like Leslie was sort of describing. Well, I'll just whatever it takes to make them okay, even if it means I don't get what I want or need. But here's the bottom line: is safe, and we'll move on to the next S in the 4 pillars. Is here's how you do this: you keep your promises. You do what you say you'll do. You're kind, right? You see, and that's some of these others. These all blend together, but they are distinct. These 4 S's, and really, when there is a safe environment, means that our children are seen, they're heard, they are attended to, they are not made a problem or uh, something that has to be fixed. They are just really just loved, and they're in an environment that's consistent, that they can have some certainty, and that you're going to do what you say. You're going to show up and be trustworthy. Those sorts of choices as a parent, and even when our kids are adults, it's the same thing. We make promises we'll go visit, and we don't. Those, even in an adult child, can cause a sense of, well, there they are again.
Mom and dad aren't safe. I really can't share what's going on in college, or I really can't come to them about this thing at work or this thing with my spouse, because they're gonna tell me what to do, or they're gonna start telling me I'm wrong, and it's not safe.
Yeah. So they come and they dump their emotions on you, and it's like, well, don't feel that way.
Yeah, there's a good one. Don't feel that way.
Well, boy.
Yeah. So this scene is real. It's very similar into the safety realm. It's the same type of outcomes that you get when you're seen in your home. And this is between spouses as well. Like, I see you. You're important to me. You matter to me. Gosh, guys, we're so distracted with our cell phones anymore. I mean, how many times you've been out to dinner and you've seen a whole family sitting at the table, or a couple, and they're all on their phones. They're not interacting with each other. You can't see somebody if you're distracted on your phone. And so what we mean by this scene is that the family member, especially the child, you're looking them in the eye. You, like, I see you, what you have to say, and who you are is of the utmost importance to me. And this is not to bust anybody's chops, but I see it all over the place. We're scrolling on the phones, and the little kids are pulling on mom. Hey, mom, mom, or dad. Yeah. I'm working. And maybe it's legitimately work on your phone. I don't know. But the point is, what you're communicating to that child is, what I'm doing, what I'm holding in my phone is more important than what you are and who you are. Ouch, guys. We don't want to convey that to our kids.
Yeah. So being seen is, I slow down and I hear what you have to say, and I validate it. I don't deny it or tell you what to think or what to feel. I sit with you in it. I'm with you. Empathy is big here about being seen.
Yeah.
And it's really being seen and heard. Like, your voice matters. Your opinion, your wants, your thoughts matter. And so this is the social covenant tool that's coming in the description for you on the podcast, where this is a series of questions where the parents ask, okay, kids, what do you need from us? You might be surprised. You can do this with adult kids. We do. We have different situations coming up with our family. We have our little social covenant talk. And then it's, okay, kids, here's what mom and dad need from you. And then it's, what do we need from each other? And then it's, how will we get back into agreement if we break these agreements that we're making here? It's the social covenant is an agreement. A covenant is an agreement. And the agreement means everybody is seen, everybody is heard, everybody's needs matter.
Everybody has a voice.
Everybody, we're going to work to see and hear and meet each other's needs. It's a very powerful tool. We're going to go to a break real quick. We come back, we're going to touch on the soothed and the secure pillars, and leave you again with that tool. We'll be right back after this.
Disconnected from your spouse or children? Do you want to create a home filled with love, joy, and purpose? In this fast-paced, crazy world, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters: your family. The Family School is here to guide you on this incredible journey based on Dr. Randall Bixby's best-selling book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
The Family School provided us with the tools and strategies to build a healthy family culture. It's amazing to experience the transformation.
The Family School is a game changer. Our communication has improved, along with our ability to forgive and stay connected. We now have a blueprint to raise our son and teach him how to lead his own family one day.
The support and community at the Family School are incredible. We're not alone in this journey.
Family School has impacted our family relationally by transforming how we interact with each other, improving our communication skills to create a safe environment for everyone to be open and fully themselves.
At the Family School, you'll discover biblical strategies, practical tools, and a supportive community that will empower your family to thrive.
Enroll in the Family School today and embark on a life-changing adventure. Through interactive classes, personalized coaching, and transformative resources, you'll learn practical techniques to heal, grow, and thrive as you build your family in God's design. Visit our website at www.thefamilyreformationproject.com. Start shaping your family's legacy now.
Join the Family School today. Learn to do family by design. Randy and Leslie, we're back here transforming families, and we're talking today about the 4 pillars of parenting in our new parenting series. We're talking specifically about the 4 S's, and we've briefly talked about safe and seen. Now, let's go to the next one. Soothe.
Yeah, the next one is soothed, or I like to say comforted. And this is being able to comfort a child, whether it's during a high emotional thing or just receiving general comfort. And Dr. Siegel, this is part of his work, and his framework uses this acronym, which I think is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's PEACE, P-E-A-C-E. And this is how you bring peace into the home, into comfort with your spouses, and particularly with your children. That P stands for presence. Am I present, or am I on my phone? Am I distracted, or do you have my full attention here? Engagement is the E. Same thing. You've got my attention, and I'm fully engaged because you are the most important person in this moment to me. Mm-hmm. And I see you and I hear you. The A is affection. This is so important. Affection. We all need affection. We all have, you've heard all the different love language. Some people's physical touch, words of affirmation, gifts, the ones. Food, of course, is the 6th love language. But that affection, and being able to administer affection to the child or to a spouse in a way that they receive it.
This one's big.
Yeah. And then C is calm, right?
Calm.
This is a soft voice turns away wrath, like being peaceful especially when you've got a child that's emotionally aroused. And then Randy touched on this in the first half of the podcast, E for empathy. Are we listening empathetically? Randy's dad has a great definition for empathy, and it's walking in another person's shoes with full understanding. Mm-hmm. So is that what we're communicating to our child in that moment? Are we present, engaged, affectionate, calm, and empathetic? Mm-hmm. We do a lot of executive life coaching mentoring. And I've had so many clients over the years that are struggling with anxiety and avoiding issues. Mm-hmm. And I'll often ask them, can you remember a time growing up where you received comfort? And people, they start to open from your parents, mm-hmm. and people will start to open their mouth, and then they stop. And I just wait. And it isn't too long. And you start to see tears come out of people's eyes, because they can't remember growing up where their mom or their dad took the time to comfort them mm-hmm. when they needed it. And what that develops in us is these really unhealthy coping strategies as a child when we're left mm-hmm. to our own devices to be comforted, to get that need met, which is from God. It's a God instilled need. And I'm just reminded too, I think it's in Exodus 4. I think it's there, where God, for the first time in scripture, God describes himself. And he describes himself as a comforter. Wow.
Yeah. And this is really important because as a child, you can see the anxiety that begins and the acting out that begins because we don't know, how do I get attention again? How do I get soothed? How do I get calm? I'm not okay, and mom and dad's not helping me be okay. And how do I be okay? Well, in an adult or even a teenager, this is it. This is the prime soil for addictions of all kinds.
Yes.
So I'm going to just go to pornography, or I'm going to get the dopamine hit from whatever,
Drugs and
alcohol or
alcohol.
drugs or sex or whatever it is. And it's because we think that we have to self-soothe, and the only way we know how to do it is some of those unhealthy ways. Now,
Because we weren't taught how to self-soothe in a godly way, right? Because we weren't able to receive it from our parents, and we weren't taught how to receive it from the Lord. And so we go into unhealthy
yeah.
self-soothing.
And here's the truth. Even as an adult, when you get free from addiction and everything, one of the things that actually happens in that process is that we figure out how to be soothed by God.
Yeah.
Because just because we have victory over substance or we get delivered doesn't mean that we won't ever be pressed emotionally to get lonely, hungry, tired, whatever.
What are you
it
going to
is.
replace that with?
Yeah. And so how is it that we handle that when that does come back instead of what we've been going to? And this is where it is. It's from God. He is the comfort. Listen, you just said God described himself as a comforter. The Holy Spirit, the third part of the Trinity,
It's our
of God,
comforter.
is our comforter. Well, wow. And the truth is, God designed us and put us in family so that we would learn about our relationship with God through our relationship with our family. And our parents are the number one model for us as little children about parental love and safety. And we relate to God many times the same way that we relate to our parents.
Yeah. And here's a word for you parents out there. When our children come to us, they're pure, right? They're innocent little children. And how they're acting out really is a mirror to us. That we didn't get this in our own childhood. And this innocent little kid is mirroring back to us what we actually are lacking in our own lives. So your children can teach you a lot of things too. This isn't to put more pressure on you to perform as a parent, but it's to have eyes to see that they are little mirrors to us. I'll never forget the first time I had a child of mine about 2 years old stand her ground and point her finger at me and start giving it to me. And I realized in that moment, holy cow, that's what I do. It was such a deep moment of conviction, but it was beautiful. So I want to encourage you, pay attention to how your kids are showing up, because they're oftentimes just reflecting back to you, right? What's missing or lacking in you.
Yeah, there is such deep science and biblical precedent for what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It is vitally important to create a safe environment, a healthy culture. That's the first concept. We're doing a conference here this weekend about creating a healthy family culture. And the last one here, secure, is basically the consistent practice of the first three.
Yeah.
When everybody feels safe, feels seen, and feels soothed in the family, that creates a sense of security over time. And it's not too late to create this. Even if your kids are adults, you can start with this family social covenant tool that you can get for free. There's a video, there's a worksheet, you can get it for free, and begin to work that, because it helps you articulate to each other what our needs are, and then it helps you all work together toward meeting each other's needs.
Yeah. And remember too, so again, if you're an adult, and you probably are if you're listening to this, if you're still experiencing codependency in your life, fear of being unworthy or unlovable, if you've got a deep fear of being abandoned or rejected, If there's a fear around intimacy, if you find yourself emotionally unavailable to your spouse or to your friend group or to people that you work with, or you just simply have a hard time articulating and expressing difficult emotions, this is actually a good thing. This is letting you know God is so kind. If you're experiencing those things, it is an invitation to start to explore those things. And many of those reasons why you're showing up that way probably go way back.
Yeah.
And when we take people back into childhood, it's not to rehash painful memories, but it's just to recognize when those behavior patterns and lies came in about who you are.
Yeah.
And get those deep places healed. So if that's what you're experiencing, we encourage you, reach out to somebody that you trust that can help you walk through this. We're here to help too. You can go to winthefamily.org and explore some of our paths forward for working with people. But do get that social covenant.
Yeah.
You're going to find it down below in the podcast description, how to receive that.
Yeah. And it's one of the EQ modules, the learning exercises that is taught in the family school.
Yeah.
You really want to get a grip on this and have some support implementing tools like the social covenant and others in your family. Join us for the family school, where we go through every week and we learn new tools, and then we go home and practice them with our families, and we come back and we debrief how did it go and what did you learn. And it has really changed the trajectory of the culture in the family's homes that workers. Listen, we've said enough about this, but please don't just, turn it off, go on to the next. Take this to the Lord and ask him, Lord, is this important for us? Is this important for our family? Is our family culture really as safe as you designed it to be? Or as I think it is? What would we do? And listen to him.
Yeah.
All right. Any last words?
Remember, whoever wins the family
wins a culture in the end. See
Love you
next
guys.
time. That wraps up another inspiring episode of Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. We hope that today's conversation has left you feeling empowered and equipped to take action.
Remember, transforming families begins with transforming ourselves. Let's be intentional, loving, and persevere. You're not alone. We're right here with you.
We believe Proverbs 24:3. Wise people are builders. They build families, businesses, and communities. Through intelligence and insight, their enterprises are established and endure.
Thanks for joining us today. We encourage you to stay connected with us on social media, join our email list, and learn more about our resources and classes at the Family School by visiting thefamilyreformationproject.com.
Remember to subscribe, share with your loved ones, and spread the word about transforming families. We'll see you on our next episode. And remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture.